Sleeves here with the Senior Pickleball Report, powered by Active Blend. Let's get it going. Before we get to our interview, I wanted to talk to you about one of my sponsors, Active Blend. Great supplements and vitamins made in the United States, so they're consistent. They're also vegan, which is cool, and no GMOs. And you get some elite athletes using them to keep them on the senior tour. Teresa Tarn and Taylor Taylor of the National Pickleball League. Check out my discount code, and I use them daily. Keeps me on the court for good joint health. Active Blend. All right, folks, this week on our People of Pickleball episode, we are speaking with Destiny and Robert from the Skinny Singles podcast. Robert's the man behind Casual Dinker. Really cool stuff. And him and Destiny team up to create a podcast that is something outside of the X's and the O's of the game. It kind of talks about community and how the game impacts our lives and our mental health. But before we get to that, if you like this content, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out all the links in the description. Check out our merch page. Check out our newsletter. We have a cruise coming up this spring with Rick Barry, basketball legend. Check out VAiR, a new rating system challenging the status quo. And of course, my sponsor, Active Blend. All right, let's get to that conversation with Destiny and Robert.
All right, everybody, pretty excited about this episode. We have the host of Skinny Single podcast, Destiny and Robert, on. And I've had Robert out to the yurt, so we'll talk a little bit about that. I just met Destiny, but welcome to the show, you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to be here. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, your pod, we'll get into that. It feels like it's still developing. You know, episodes are different. They're fun. They're exciting. Some laughter, some crying, some vulnerability, some really cool stuff that I don't think we see in the space all that much. So we'll talk about that. But before we get into any of that, we need to find out how this stupid Pickleball game found you guys. So let's start with Destiny. Talk to us about pickleball. You know, obviously taking over a portion of your life. So talk about that.
Yeah, I would say way more than, I mean, I guess it's a portion, but it's probably like 75% of my life. I started like 5 years ago, I would say, like right before COVID. And so I guess almost 6 years ago, actually, December of 2019 was the first time I played in a tournament. It was like New Year's week. And yeah, super fun. I was married at the time, and my ex-husband had his own things going on. He did strongman, powerlifting, and I mean, kind of the point, you know, ground beef and rice like 5 times a day. I knew that wasn't going to be for me. And like, you know, deadlifting cars. So I needed to find something on my own, and he had some family that played pickleball. And so we went to a tournament. I thought I would just be kind of clapping politely, like, okay, I don't know what this pickleball sport thing is. And by the time I left there, I think I got on Amazon and bought my own paddle and started watching YouTube videos and kind of took off from there. I never thought I was a competitive player, and now I've played in like 150 plus tournaments. So, you know, a little competitive. But yeah, it's taken over. I try to do a lot with like youth pickleball. I've gotten a lot of friends and family involved in it. And, you know, now we're doing this podcast thing. So when I say 75% of my life, I would say that that's kind of, you know, being a little modest.
Yeah. I mean, you're technically an OG. You started in 2019, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
There's not many people. I probably interviewed 200 people. There's probably maybe less than 20 out of those 200 that have played before, you know, 2020. So,
and they're
old school.
They're probably all better than me too. So I had like no athletic background. So it just didn't you know, sports didn't come natural to me. But yeah, I've really loved it. And it's just a huge passion of mine. It's just kind of, I rediscovered myself, and, you know, it's nice to have like something that you're really proud to be a part, like the community. And we can get into that more, but just the community itself has been like a huge, huge thing. So
yeah, obviously it's something that I think came out of the blue for pretty much all of us. Like, you know, we were doing things in our lives, and now we have a podcast about a pickleball game.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
So Robert, you're doing multiple things as well. I mean, my God, you have Casual Dinker. You play in leagues. You organize leagues. You have a podcast. You're sort of what I would like to call a renaissance man in the pickleball
Oh,
space, Robert.
Oh, dang. That's a first for me.
Yeah.
nuts.
So talk to us about how this happened to you. Living your life, obviously military background. I know a little bit about you, but fill in the folks about how pickleball sort of came into your world as well.
Sure. I moved down to Utah in November of 22. It was around the end of my military career, and my girlfriend's mom invited me to go play. And I've always been sports oriented. I love playing sports. And yeah, so she got me into playing pickleball, and I fell in love with it right away just because it felt natural to me. I've played racquetball before, and I played pretty well. And so this was easy to pick up. And then I started supplementing my military community since it wasn't really established here in Utah, and utilized the pickleball community. And it just really helped me gain confidence in myself, put me on a path of I've never run a business before. I never started a podcast before. So it's really opened up a lot of doors, yeah, to help me in my life and hopefully keeps continually going forward for me.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about the Casual Dinker, it is my favorite apparel company. Always doing cool things, always bringing in pop culture. I'm having fun with it. Robert sent me a ton of stuff and been very generous. And I just love the attitude behind, well, first of all, the name. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at that.
Kind
Look
of
at
my
that
work.
logo in the background too. The beer.
Right. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
the dude's legit. Let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
so and he's one of the very few in this pickleball space to come out to the yurt. So he has he's sort of taken that rite of passage and come on out and seeing what it's like to live off grid in a tent, and it was a great visit. So
it was.
let's continue this a little bit, because when you came out last spring, I think at that point we were talking about a pod and possibly doing a pod.
Yeah.
How?
Yep.
Either one of you can take this, and both of you can take it. It's one thing, obviously, to play the game, to love it, to make it become a huge part of your life. It's another thing, like you did, Robbie. You start a business, and I know you talked about, you like we all are in the beginning, being in front of camera and really talking to yourself and trying to make some sort of content is very awkward. And I would speak for a living. I was a teacher, and the first time I would do a video for my podcast, I did like 800 takes. I'm like, I am not sending that because you hear yourself and you're like, oh my God, this is sort of dumb, but you got to get it past that. So Robert, talk about your getting past that and going, okay, I've got a business going. I've done some content with the business. I put myself out there. I made myself uncomfortable. But now I'm going to even take this further and go down this and I'm bringing a partner and do this. So talk to me about your journey coming to the Skinny Signals podcast.
Well, like you said, I've been thinking about doing a podcast for quite a while now. And really the opportunity came up is when I became friends with Destiny. I had a realtor. He played pickleball and he invited me to a Sunday league. And that's where I met Destiny. And then after playing with her for a while, and I just threw out the opportunity. I knew she talked a lot. And I was like, I got to have someone who can talk a lot and continue on a conversation, because me, I don't talk a lot. And like you said, it's really tough to sit in front of a camera, talk about maybe even your business or just talk about the things you're passionate about.
Sure.
And I still, to this day, struggle with it. As you can, if you've seen the podcast on YouTube, you can kind of notice I don't talk very much. But so bringing on Destiny was a key element, and she brings this flair and excitement to the podcast, and all the little quips that she throws at me all the time just makes the podcast amazing. So it was really a no-brainer to ask her, and I was just blessed that she said yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So Destiny, I mean, I've watched the episodes. You've got a very unique following already. People are are dedicated to your podcast already. And I think that says a lot. And I think part of that is it's real. It's not just a promotional piece. It's not somebody just trying to sell products.
Right.
It is different than a lot of things that are out there because it gets vulnerable at times, which I think is needed. There's a big reason a lot of people gravitate towards the pickleball community because there's a lack of community in people's lives, I think, on some level. So
Yeah.
Destiny, talk about like your role, when Robert approached you. Is this something that you thought, well, God, do I want to do this? Do I want to share some
Yeah.
things? Talk about
Yeah.
your journey.
I would say, yeah, he reached out to me. I was actually getting on a cruise ship when I got a message from him, and he knew that. He was like, I'm just throwing this out there. You can think about it while you're on the ship. And I was like, okay. And work had been stressful. And so my initial thing was like, I don't know if I would be able to come in and be like a 50-50, like, carry my weight. Obviously I talk a lot. So that's like, that part is easy. You guys are like, it's so hard to talk to, empty space. I'm like, I do it all fucking day, but yeah, I have no problem. But I sat on it. I meditated on it on the cruise, and I came out of that week with like a million ideas, and I was like, let's do this. I'm so excited. And just I think adding, like you said, there's a little bit of that. I think we try to remain pretty authentic and not that like fake salesman thing. And I think you're right. I think our following, I think those people, I know Rob receives these as well, but I get text messages weekly of people just thanking us for being vulnerable and thanking us for, talking about the hard things. And we obviously talk about pickleball. That's what the podcast, Skinny Singles, it's pickleball podcast, but it's a pickleball podcast for amateurs because there's pros out there talking about pros. There's amateurs out there talking about pros all day, every day. But there's nobody really talking about this community and how important it is and how much I think a lot of us have leaned on each other and the community itself and the game and the sport to, combat these negative feelings, depression, anxiety, what have you. And so I think it's really important that we're, raising awareness by being our true selves and saying, hey, like, even me, like I seem very like personable and excited, like Rob said, I just bring a flair to the podcast. But sorry, but I struggle. I have really bad days and I have really, down times. And so I think that's probably a lot of people that struggle with depression. How many comedians do you see that unfortunately commit suicide and you would have never thought it? And so I think it's important to share that and remind people, to look out for their friends and even those of us in the pickleball community that seem like they're in such a great mood all the time. It might not always be the case. They might be just as lonely as the person that appears to be lonely and might not be. They just might be an introvert. And so yeah, I've really loved that spin of our podcast that I feel like, was Rob's, little innovative idea. And I loved it. So I think we're a good team.
Oh, for sure.
You're a great team. You really are. I think, and I said this before, what I appreciate is you've done something different. There's a ton of podcasts out there, a ton of pickleball podcasts out there. And, you mentioned some of the things that they're about. And, I'm not a podcast guy necessarily, but if there's something that is different in that particular space, which yours is, you gravitate towards because it's refreshing. It's refreshing not to have to listen to all the talking heads talk about, whatever, the pro game or paddles or whatever it happens to be. So talk about like developing kind of ideas behind episodes. And this is not an insult. Are you winging it and see kind of where it goes? Do you kind of have a methodology that you kind of follow? It feels very natural. So it doesn't feel like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. So talk to me, either one of you, about sort of the background behind the scenes of kind of putting together an episode or a theme or a topic.
Yeah. Sure. So I'll just say, I will say, I think initially I want to say thank you for saying it seems natural, because some weeks, I think I can speak for both of us, it does not feel natural. There's some weeks we come to the table and neither of us are prepared and we're like, okay, here we go, let's hit record, and we just wing it. And then there's other months that, you mentioned you watched, and there's other months where it's very well thought out and very well planned. And Rob's so good at organizing, our guests. Like we did September, we thought, okay, well, a local indoor facility, and we got all the owners on, and he was so good at coordinating that. And we just, kind of go back and forth with the questions, and very similar to this, right? You just have a natural conversation. It doesn't seem fake. It seems very chill. And sometimes maybe some of that conversation isn't what people want to hear, but it's enjoyable for us. And I think it's good. And then other times, I think at the very beginning, I looked at the calendar for the year, and it was like, well, what holidays are in each month, and where can we kind of, when's mental health month, when's suicide prevention?
Right.
So then we try to kind of tailor things around that. But then there's days, I think World Pickleball Day, I think we might have forgot initially, like when we were pre-recording, because as you know, you record 7 to 10 days before you're actually releasing it. And it's like, this is awkward. But yeah. Sorry, Rob, I probably took too much of that, but did you?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, she's not giving herself enough credit either, because she'll actually contact all the guests and make sure that they have the address and the times and all the preloaded questions that we try to give each of our guests. That way they know some of the questions we're going to ask. And if we do end up, having a low in our conversation, we can revert back to those questions, which doesn't happen very often. We usually go on tangents for long periods of time and talk shit to each other and stuff. So it's really good.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. That's what I like. I like the banter. I like the I like the sarcasm. And you can definitely tell your roles on screen, and then it's cool to hear your roles off screen. Who's organizing what, and who's taking charge of particular areas. Do you see it? What do you see it, I guess, evolving to? Because it's still evolving. I can clearly see that. Like you guys have a variety of different types of shows. Are there certain areas that you feel like, oh, maybe this is more of our niche that you're going to lean into, or is it still to the point that because it's fairly new that you're still sort of finding your ground and like what is this ultimately going to be for us?
That's a good question. I personally think that we're still finding our niche. I mean, obviously our niche is mental health and pickleball, but we're still navigating that and figuring out, because I do all the editing of video and audio, and I've never done any of that before. So I'm still learning how to make it crisper, make it better, make the videos that I post to YouTube a little bit more, I guess, less amateur, and then finding better topics when it comes to the mental health is more Destiny's. She's better at doing that, because I'm still hesitant about jumping headfirst into the whole mental health books and self-help and that kind of stuff. But that's just due to my military background and being a guy, it's like just shove it down. Or as one of our guests, Tim, said, just throw it into black void. And, so.
Not advice we are putting out there, by the way.
True, isn't it? No, but as a guy, I can relate to that. Like, I'm just going to compartmentalize this and throw it over there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'll add on to that.
I think that's what's amazing about the pod is that you sort of have to fight that urge. Robert, you're a guy like I am, and this is a challenge for guys. This is a challenge to talk about things that guys generally don't want to talk about, and then to be a co-host on a show that will go places that sometimes you may not even see coming in an episode. You might think like, oh, this is going to be a light episode. There's not a lot of planning behind this. And then you're knee deep in it, 20 minutes in, and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Then you go, Destiny?
Yeah. And then I'm across the table saying, tell me more about your childhood trauma. Well, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, where I haven't even processed it myself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I think I've actually even said that one day when we were starting to get into something, and I was like, you know what? I haven't even had time to process this myself. I don't know why I'm trying to talk about it on here. I gotta take a break and pause, because it is like I think Rob has probably been a little bit more vulnerable at times than I have been on the podcast. So even though I'm a huge advocate for mental health and talking about it, something about talking about my own on here that I know it's going to be out for the whole world, it's a little uncomfortable, right? I mean, I think we all, as much as we like to say, oh, the older we get, we stop caring what other people think. I also think that is a little bit of a lie sometimes, right? I think we all care a little. And, you know, I think to go hand in hand with that is I'm not doing this venture by myself. So if I say something or, you know, it impacts Rob and I don't want, you know, it's just it can be a little difficult. So I think, you know, to go kind of circle back is I think we are still trying to figure it out, but I do feel like we just wrapped up what we called season 1. We had 22 episodes that we've done now. And I think, I feel really proud about that. We were really diligent about every Friday. And the first Friday that we didn't in December, we had people texting us like, hey, where's your episode? It's not out yet. And I was like, sorry, we're not doing it this month. Yeah, we took a little break for the holidays, but I think I came out of that feeling, and Rob and I, sorry if I'm blindsiding you, Rob, but we haven't even had a chance to talk about it because we've been traveling. But I feel like I came out of that feeling like our niche really is the community and building that and being vulnerable and talking about pickleball, but where that mental health, you know, really is influencing, but the community itself. Like even just talking to people who, I don't know if you guys have seen or, you know, I know Rob, you listen to a ton of music, but you know how it has like your 2025 Spotify Wrapped and it like will wrap up like what songs. I had several people text me, hey, do I win a prize? You guys were my #1 podcast that I listened to on Spotify.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was so fun. And we had some people tag us in their posts on social media. And it's really heartwarming to feel the support from people and people like you, Mike. Like I met you today virtually, but just knowing you're in a whole nother state. And I know you and Rob have history, but that's because of the connections you guys have each built from this community, right? So it's just huge that social media can be a whole nother conversation, right? And how you meet people, but it is wild to me that we can talk into these little devices and people across the country a week later are like eager to hear what we have to say. It's wild. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a large part of that is, and you mentioned this a little bit, I think people feel that you are aware of the relationship that the two of you have and that it's just not you as a solo host spouting off without any concern of your co-host. Because I'm sure there are times, and if you do this long enough, if it hasn't happened already, and it happens to me, and it's just me and a guest, I'll reflect back and go, yeah, I probably shouldn't have, or I might have do that a little different next time. And maybe I'll send them a note like, hey, I don't know if this was, because things happen in the moment. And then, I guess the benefit of that, and Rob will know about this, is there's editing. Worst case scenario, you can always go and fix it in post, as they would say. But I do think I think the charm of your pod is the relationship and the dynamic between your personalities. And you can feel a genuine friendship between the two of you and an understanding of it's lighthearted at times, but when it gets to be serious, you have each other's back and it's a very supportive pod. And clearly if people are writing you and they're mentioning things that they like, or that you didn't do an episode and they missed it, or they're sending you their playlist and you're at the top. Those are big. That's a big deal. I don't care how many followers you have. Those things are actually more important, I think. So
100%. And we've talked about this before. And I need to say, if one person took something from this, like it's worth every single Sunday, us getting together and having these conversations. And yes, I mean, Rob mentioned we've only known each other just a year, and I do feel like a genuine friendship. And it's nice. This whole experience has been so crazy and fun, and I'm super happy that Rob invited me into this. So good.
So Robert, what do you think? Obviously you've got season 1 in the books. I would say for an inaugural season, I don't think you could ask for a better start. I really don't. I mean, you talked about the things that have happened.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for from 2026? Where do you want to see this go? And what do you plan? Do you have any plans 2026? Kind of where you want to take the pod?
Uh, I reached out to PickleCon, going to see if we can get out to PickleCon, maybe do a few episodes
Yeah,
out there.
that'd be great.
And I think we're going to redo the studio just a little bit, maybe have a little bit more warmer setting and stuff like that. I really need to get better at video editing. Not that we edit our videos. There's only been, I think, 2 episodes that we actually had to cut out a little piece of it. Other than that, what you hear is the
Yeah,
whole conversation.
Mhm.
So, which is awesome because
great.
listening to other podcasts, I'm sure they do
Yeah,
a lot of editing. So we just roll with it and it
they do.
works
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We try to be
yeah,
respectful though of
yeah. How
anybody
about
we
you?
do have on the podcast. We
Oh,
obviously
sure.
will ask like, are there topics that are off like limits
Yeah.
and stuff so that we don't have to
Sure.
worry about the editing. But yeah, I would say, I mean, I am really excited. We've talked a lot about like February, getting kind of because it's Valentine's, but kind of getting some couples on the podcast that play together and do well, play together that don't do well, don't play together because they know they don't
Yeah,
do well together. So just those different dynamics and learning relationships. And
yeah,
so I think
Yep.
just really diving into the community aspect, but expanding that beyond our own community, right? And I would love to do a little bit of outreach to other people's communities in other states. So I think Rob mentioned PickleCon. I think that's going to be a good way for us to kind of segue and meet some new people in other states. That's how you two met, right? Was that PickleCon or did you meet before that?
yeah.
Well,
Well, we sort of
initially,
met online, interacting,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
but
just
in
lo and behold,
person
we got to
at
meet in person
PickleCon.
at PickleCon.
I gazed across the dance floor and I
Oh,
saw Robert standing there, and I'm like, that's him.
that's the
It's
guy.
actually true. That's sort of how it looked.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love that. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
it's just bringing people together. I love it.
Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
this coming year
absolutely.
too. So season 2, I'll probably start diving a little bit more into mental health and try to bring a male perspective to it because I think
Yeah,
a lot of males are lacking in the skills of talking about their emotions, at least understanding it instead of just throwing it in the void, forgetting about it, and having it bubble up
yeah,
later on in life. And I think that's something I know I struggle with. So maybe by me doing more research and understanding and, having destiny to help me navigate that and yeah, maybe it'll help be a pathway for other males to either reach out to us and talk about it, or just talk about it in their own community with family and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Especially
I think it's
because
very important.
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Because I think there's a little
No, go
lag.
ahead.
So I'm not trying to talk over you, but I was just going to say,
No, there is a
especially
lag.
because the majority of our listeners from our like Spotify records show that are male. So I really do think that that's going to be impactful. So yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm also
100%. I used to run camps when I taught high school, and it was basically about breaking down barriers in between high school groups and peer groups and stuff like that. And the biggest part was getting boys, young men, to speak about how they feel. And then, if obviously if we're not doing it at a very young age, we sometimes we never do it, and we carry that stuff with us. And I think you can see this in this sport already. I mean, if you look at sort of the way the sport's going and sort of the aggression that's sort of coming into the game and some of the testosterone of some of these younger players
Mhm.
on the court, and the maturity level that could improve. I do think having older men speak to this and speak to talking about things that we don't talk about is a big deal. Whether it surrounds a wiffle ball game or not, it's an opportunity to have those conversations, and maybe a good way to have those conversations because you don't come into it with these heavy expectations of like, oh God, this is what's going to happen. It's about pickleball, and if it goes there, it goes there, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you two have the opportunity to take it there, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah. I mean, this game has already proved that it improves people's mental health for sure. Yeah, I mean, who was it
Sure.
a few maybe 2 months ago? Tyra Black. She talked about she struggled, I think it was during tennis, with SSRIs and depression and things of that nature. And then pickleball has really helped her move through that and work through it herself. So there's something to be said about pickleball, mental health improvement, and just community-based sports like that. But I think pickleball's at the top when it comes to that.
I would agree. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I still can't believe it though. Like it's such a thing out of left field that somehow this game that's been around almost 60 years or 60 years and it has somehow been this wormhole in our lives that has taken us all into a community that didn't exist. And it's so bizarre to me still. And then to talk to people on a daily basis about this and to see how it literally impacts and it saves people's lives. Like this game literally saves people's lives. I've heard story after story. I've interviewed so many people that they've literally said that. In the beginning, I'd be like, come on, really? But I believe it now because it's just an endless stream of people coming up to me and talking about these things. And obviously in your 22 episodes, you're knee deep in it. And I can't even imagine the next year or 2 years, some of the conversations that you're going to be having, some of the guests you're going to be having on in the places it's going to take you both personally to have these conversations because they're not easy to have. You can have do an interview and then you're laying in bed at night, kind of going through some of this stuff. Not only your own mental health, but then, the people that you're talking to as well. So bravo to both of you for doing this because it's fun, but it's not easy either.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's heavy. It can be heavy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But thank you.
But then Destiny, when things are getting heavy, she'll just rip on you and make you laugh. And that's what I love about our podcast.
My therapist does not love that about me, so I'm glad you do.
See, right there, but no both.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on cue. Well, hey, I appreciate having you both on. Folks, if you want to follow the pod, in the link, all the places to find Skinny Single Podcast. And you got to get and I dropped the ball tonight. I should be covered in Casual Drinker in VAiR. I threw on what I had and I ran out in the cold to do this. So my bad on that. He has the coolest shit you'd ever want to wear in the world. I love his stuff. So go to Casual Drinker, get you some stuff for the holidays. And hope to see these two someday on a Daily Travels pickleball cruise doing their pod. And hopefully this summer, catch them at PickleCon because that'll be a blast and a good time in Kansas City. So I appreciate both of you being on. And I'd love to have you on again next year and see what a full year of this looks like to you and, kind of get where your head's at with this.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the support. You're so great to us. So thank you so much, Mike. It was great meeting you. You
bet. All right, folks. You know where down in the links, get in there, check out Skinny Singles. And I think what y'all need is a serious call-in show.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
I'll think on it.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Check it out. Socials in the description. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed our conversation with Destiny and Robert from the Skinny Singles podcast. Check out an episode. You'll be hooked. All right, folks, you know what to do at the end of the day. Hey, let's pickle.